This is Kmad4Peace. Welcome to another session of Let's Talk. Today we have Elaine Washington, and she's running for a judge position here in Washtenaw County. Hi, Elaine.
Hi. Glad to be here.
And I'm so glad that you came, and welcome.
Thank you.
Can you give us some insight into what it is that you do and how you've come to this position where you want to make a difference as a judge?
Okay, well, that's kind of a long question, so I'll try to shorten it a tad bit and give you a summary. What I do right now is I'm an attorney. I've been practicing law and helping people in need for the past 27 years. I'm a graduate of the University of Michigan Law School. I grew up in Ann Arbor, and then I've been in Ypsilanti Township for the past 27 years.
Fabulous.
So I graduated from Ann Arbor Public Schools, actually. Okay. So that's my background. To answer the question as to how I came to want to help people as a judge, because that's what I see the role as, is a helping position, where we as judges are given an opportunity to provide to those in need, because that's what I think everybody comes to us, either as defendants or victims or complainants or plaintiffs or defendants in civil cases, with a need of either help with issues that are more personal or civil type issues. And the position I'm running for is 14B. Judge. It's a Ypsilanti Township District Court position. Okay. And so in that position, I'd be helping mainly people who have less serious issues going on. So it's for people who have potential misdemeanor charges. Okay. And for people who have civil issues around $25,000 or less. Okay. So that's what that does. There is a larger component, which is why I bring those 27 years of skills. Right. For, it's called preliminary examinations. Okay. With preliminary examinations, people who have been charged with a felony go and sit before district court judges who determine whether those particular charges should be bound over to circuit court. Okay. It sounds a little complicated. It's not that complicated. And the way I break it down for my clients is you have little court and you have big court. District court is the little court. Okay. So when you leave that little court, that little line there that you can't see, it's an invisible line, is the bind over line. Okay. Then you go to big court. Okay. So district court judges decide whether someone's case should go on to big court based on what's called a probable cause standard. Okay. If there's probable cause to believe that someone committed the crime and that they are that particular person. Okay. So how I came to want to do this is based on all my years of experience, having handled all different types of matters, from driving while license suspended to representing people in murders to dealing with I've done divorce work, I've done regular civil work, I've done medical malpractice, I've done all the host of it. I feel like I'm in a great position through my personal life experiences as well as my legal experiences to be able to help folks. And so that's why I came to want to do this. Wow. Long answer.
That is okay, because that's exactly what I would like for my listeners and my viewers to know. Because sometimes people seem to be lost. I got a phone call one day saying, do you know where I can find a lawyer? I'm like, well, I do, but I'm not sure whether or not this lawyer takes on what it is that you're looking for. Like, some people want an estate lawyer, or they're having situations where they have had, certain things, from what I understand, some of their properties have been wiped from under them. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to say to you, but all I can do is give you a phone number, and then you can ask the questions. So this is why that I've, sought you out and asked that you come on this show and explain to us what the difference is, and maybe they can find some clarification in our interview today. Good. The other aspect of what I see, as you yourself see, in the dynamic of people not having affordability to good legal and great, I want to say, the person that cares about actually what happens, not just, hey, you can come through the courtroom, or I can be your lawyer, and then, okay, I'm done with you next. But somebody who really lovingly feels that they want to help the community. What do you expect to give to people that come across your courtroom and say, you know, my life experiences have brought me to this? Within your means, would you be able to show them compassion when it comes down to the kinds of services that they would receive, where I want to say they would get a referral as opposed to a sentence, or instead of it feeling like a punishment, you know, because the way you explain it is that some of them, mental services, are like, they may not know better. What can you speak to that?
So you're talking about what we consider to be equitable issues, sort of creating equity in our system. We have a system that thus far has not really met people where they are and in the space that they're in when they come to you. And so what I'm able to do as a judge is to look at that person's individual unique needs and say, okay, in this particular situation, we see that you may have a substance use disorder. Or in this particular situation, we may see that you have some mental health issues going on. Or in this particular situation, you're missing some resources. Now, I want to clarify to you that a sentence does not necessarily mean jail. And sometimes people equate the word sentence
You know where
to
I'm
jail,
going. Thank
right?
you.
So sentence can mean giving people access to what we call those specialty or problem-solving courts. Those are the courts like mental health court or recovery court, and there are veterans courts. Now, every jurisdiction doesn't have all of those particular courts, but they can have some of those courts. For instance, out in 14B District Court right now, there is currently a recovery court. And that is for people who have substance use disorders. In Ann Arbor, there's a mental health court. But Ann Arbor's kind of far away. And when we talk about the equity issues, this is one of the things that has to be taken into consideration. That people who have low socioeconomic statuses sometimes don't have cars. They can't get to Ann Arbor. So we need to make sure that we have availability of services over here. Now, understanding that we have a budget in 14B, that's always got to be taken into consideration, right? You have to realize that services are going to come into play when funding comes into play. And so funding for these types of courts generally comes from the state. So a grant application has to be made and put into the court at the state level, and then the state will decide whether or not our jurisdiction is going to get that type of court. And so that's where it comes into play about what's called concurrent specialty courts, wherein you may have a combined recovery court and mental health court at the same time. And so my goal is to figure out what the needs of this community are. And I, being someone who's worked with all the various populations, from the poorest to the richest, to be honest, I've seen a host of people who have needs for mental health services over in this area. And we need to do the work to get those services over here. So I've started that process already. Because I don't believe being a judge is about sitting in that courtroom and not really reaching out to the people. So that's another piece of what I bring. I'm able to meet the people in the courtroom and go out in the community and figure out what the needs are and develop collaborative partnerships with other people in the community who can bring those services. For instance, I had a fundraiser at my home for NAMI. If you're familiar with what NAMI is, it's the National Alliance of Mental Illness. And what they do is it's a non-clinical program, but it provides support services, and it also provides peer-to-peer types of programming and family-to-family counseling.
That is so wonderful.
Exactly. And so I worked with Judy, and I always bring up Judy's name because I think she's great at what she does. She has a passion for the people. She has compassion
and I'm
for
loving
the people.
what I'm hearing.
Right?
I'm getting chill, but I'm just listening. Come on with it.
So We had a fundraiser and we raised some money for her.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, she was able to get a grant through Community Mental Health
Okay.
to be able to bring those services over here to the eastern side of the county because we are missing those services here.
Exactly.
So we bring the services here so that she can help on the front end. And if need be, we can also have a collaboration with some work being done within the courts themselves. Now, the benefit of NAMI is that this is a peer-to-peer volunteer family volunteer, so you train volunteer people to help.
Okay.
They have some grant money, but then you collaborate with the community to help with those. So I want to be able to help people with to be able to make trauma-informed decisions so that they don't make poor decisions as much. I'm not suggesting to anybody that I'm a hero and things are going to change overnight.
Hey,
but
it takes one person at a time.
Right, to make that difference. And so that's what I'm up to.
Okay, that's so fabulous. Let me ask you, do you think that this is something that you will record and make a template for other judges and other communities across because of course across the United States we're not just the only ones having these issues and helping to grow our people, but do you think this is something that you will be able to share or want to share?
So I'm not going to pretend like I'm developing a system that doesn't already exist. Okay. There are people that are doing this work, and there are specialty courts all across the United States and in Michigan. Okay. The Supreme Court administrative offices helps courts like this one that I'm hoping that the community will elect me to do this type of work throughout the state of Michigan already. I believe that's something that maybe I'm bringing to it is my own particular passion about it. And I'm also doing some of the front end work with collaborating with some of the local organizations, nonprofits, to be able to come in and help to make a difference. And I mean, that's the one that I talk about the most because that's the one I've been doing the most work with. But I do other work in the community. When we talk about people coming into the courts, you look at them from the whole perspective.
Exactly.
People need housing. People need health care. People need mental health care. People need support systems. And so I also sit on the Habitat for Humanity board. And as a part of that, we are helping to build up the community through education for finances and helping them to get into homes so that they can stabilize themselves. For a lot of the people that we do this work for, it is their first home in generations. And so you're creating a base, a platform for them to be able to provide for their families for a long time. And so it's that type of work, it's that type of connecting that is what I'm about. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there aren't downsides to being a judge. Sometimes you have to make those tough decisions
and that's
where people have to, they have to go to jail or they have to be bound over to circuit court, whatever it is that has to occur because of your own actions. But the process itself can still treat everybody with dignity and respect. And so that's what I want to do, make sure that it's fair, that everybody that comes through is treated with dignity and treated with respect, and to help those that we can help in their time of need.
So now what I want to ask is, so that viewers understand, when is it time to vote? When do we elect you, and where do we go to elect you, and how do we find you on the ballot?
Those are all really good questions. So I am running in Ypsilanti Township only. The district court is the 14B district court. So that election it's kind of a tricky question right now, but I'm going to answer it as clearly as I can.
We want to find you. That's what I'm getting to. We want to find you because we want to make sure that someone that with this love and passion for the human being and the human being's condition is elected.
I appreciate that so much. So if there is a primary, and there may not be, if there's just two of us running, there won't be a primary. But if there are three, then we have to have the top two come out to go into the general election. So the primary is August 4th. So there'll be lots of people going to the ballot.
Do you hear that, audience? August 4th.
August 4th.
Get there. I don't care what you're doing. If your boss says that you have the morning shift, get the afternoon shift. The polls don't close till 8.
That's right.
Come on, Elaine, finish telling us about it.
Yes, and so then if there are only two of us, You won't see me on the August ballot, but you need to be there anyway.
Okay.
Because there's plenty of other issues on the ballot that you need to vote for.
That's
and
right.
here's the other part about it. We have what's called no reason absentee voting now.
Oh,
so
I love
you don't
that.
even have to go all the way to a poll.
Ooh.
You can
Did
just
you hear that?
actually ask for the clerk, and you can send
Okay.
it over to Ypsi Township. The clerk will send you your ballot. You can fill out a form and then send it back or take it back.
Okay.
So you can get your ballot delivered right to you, and you
Okay.
don't have to stand in any lines, and you
Okay.
don't have to have a reason to do that anymore.
Okay.
So that is one of the things. So you can do that for the August and or the November election. So if I'm not on the primary because I only have one opponent,
Okay.
then you can vote for me in November.
Okay.
And to answer the question about where to look for me, you got to flip it to the back.
Okay.
And vote for the judges.
Are you guys listening?
Yeah, you got to
Flip it to the back and look for the judges. Listen, let's get this schooling.
And there's, I'm going to stick to my race, but I feel like I have to inform people because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But there are going to be at least 2 judges on most people's ballot
Okay.
and a prosecutor that you
Okay.
need to look at.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, one other question. When we talk, and you said you sat on the board of the Habitat for Humanity. If one wants to find out how to secure housing with Habitat, and you say they teach financing, and I'm pretty sure that almost relates to credit repair because sometimes, people have that issue. And hey, things happen where you have to live off your credit card or you are between jobs and you had to get unemployment to kind of make things work. What and where can they find information on the Habitat for Humanity?
That's a good question. So where I usually go to figure out where to go next is I'm a Facebooker. So
Okay.
it's actually on Facebook, and you
Okay.
can look up Habitat for Humanity Huron Valley,
Uh-huh.
and you look up the Huron Valley one, and they will direct you to the website. And
Okay.
I believe it's www.h4h Huron Valley, but don't quote me on that because I haven't looked it up today
Got
to
it.
make sure that that's it. But
Got it.
there's also a website. If you look it up, if you just put it in Google, Huron Valley Habitat for Humanity,
Okay.
it will pop up for you. So that's the quickest way to find it. And I'm very, very proud of the programs that we have at Habitat for Humanity, like the education program. And people think that the only thing we do in the community are those educational programs,
Okay.
but we also do things like help continue senior citizens in their homes. So
Okay.
we help with
That
those.
is so wonderful. That's one of the things that I think about often. And even, some of the seniors that I hear say, I used to have a home, but now, there are people buying them out. I don't want to say any names
Right.
and get anybody in trouble, but, and I'm going to be put into a convalescent home and I don't want to go.
Right. So we have aging in place programs to help them fix their homes up. We also have things that we do in the community. For instance, out in West Willow, we did a tool shed out there so people can go and they can borrow the bigger tools that they want to.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
fantastic.
exactly. We have a sports tools program out in Sugarbrook, and we have, there's a lot that we do. The goal of it is to build up the community. So the work that I'm doing for Habitat, I want to extend to the legal arena so that we can have equity and justice for everybody. So that is my goal.
And I'm so grateful to have you here today, and I'm so grateful to have the knowledge to know that community, that you can get help. There is somebody that you can call. And Elaine, is there a number that you would like to share for people who like to, and I know maybe right now you're busy and they maybe not be able to retain you, but is there a number that anybody could call?
I am still a practicing lawyer at this time.
Well, come on and give it to
and
us.
my phone number is 734-769-7677. And you can reach me there and I'll answer questions for you about legal concerns you may have, and I'll talk about campaign stuff if you want to as well. So yeah, every vote counts.
And if someone wants to retain you, is that possible at this point?
Oh yes, most definitely.
Okay,
yes,
so you
I
do
will be
still have room.
practicing
Okay.
until you don't have to close your practice down until you are actually elected. So it wouldn't be until December 31st
Of
2020. So if and when I'm elected, then I would begin my service as judge on January 1st of 2021.
Well, let me just jump the gun really fast and say when she's elected, because I don't want to say if. I want to say when she's elected, okay? Now, with that being said, is there anything that you'd like to add for all the people out there that really have a passion for this? Somewhere they could call if they want to join in and volunteer and help you make. Can you give me the acronym again? Is it NO?
I'm sorry, I'm not
The program name that you mentioned.
for Habitat or
No,
for
not for Habitat. The other program name.
NAMI.
NAMI. I didn't want to say NAMI.
Yeah, it's NAMI.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
NAMI.
Yeah, it's actually spelled like NAMI because it's NAMI, but it's the
okay.
National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Okay.
And let me just speak on that piece just a little bit. I'm glad you brought it up again.
Okay.
Because what they're looking for is volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to ask me questions about that, you can call that same number, the office number.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to talk to you about how to volunteer. If you want to actually help with counseling, they will train you on how to do this work.
That's
because
fabulous.
I've gotten a couple of people who are interested in doing that, and so NAMI I've helped them to try to find spaces over here on the eastern side of the county, and we're looking for volunteers also, right?
And, so they will train actually a person. Say I want to go in and say I want to give somebody some help, but maybe not professional advice because of course I'm not professionally licensed, and so within certain boundaries they train a lay person to do that, to be a support system,
to be a support,
or just kind of give
advocate
guidance.
Is what you would be.
Okay.
Yes, they train you how to be an advocate. They train people also how to do the peer-to-peer counseling, and they also will do it for families as well. Now, how that training actually goes is a little over my head, but I am an advocate for it myself, so I am pushing NAMI over in terms of what they do. I know that CMH has a CARES program through the millage, and so there's a lot of work that's being done. There's a lot of work to be done, too,
fabulous.
But there is a lot of work that's being done, and I want to be an advocate for that work. And so, when you have positions of power like this, you have to figure out how to give back in more ways than just sitting there on the bench. And that's not what I see my role as. I see my role as connecting with the various partnerships in this county, not just Ypsilanti Township, in this county, to be able to make a difference for the folks in the whole county, but more specifically in Ypsilanti Township.
And I feel compassion. I feel dedication, and I feel like it's going to be such a rewarding thing to have happen for you to become the judge that you're going to be. I mean, just spectacular work. I just feel it coming, and I really am so grateful and appreciative that you give of yourself in this way.
Thank you. I don't know if you've heard of Judge Damon Keith.
Damon J. Keith?
Yes.
Are you talking? I went to that school when I was little. Did I say my age? I didn't mean to say my age, did I? Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
But he's the type of person that I want to model myself after. I want to make a real difference for people. I'm not trying to just be on a seat.
Can we have any Ray Washington school too?
No, we just working on it.
Because we need a school too. I mean, if David J. Keith can have his own school, then I mean, I'm telling you,
I'm not him. I said I'm modeling myself after him.
I understand that, but look, you're wonderful. And
thank you.
I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for having me here. Like I told you earlier, you're the first interview I have given because I love the way our spirits connected.
Myself as well. Look, don't forget me when you become a star.
I'm not forgetting
Can I come in here and say hi to Judge Ray? I'm sorry, Judge is not available right now, but tell her I'm a special guest.
That's right.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for looking. And again, rewind the tape if you want the phone numbers. Come and volunteer at NAMI, and we'll see Judge soon.
All right. Thank you.